Hello and welcome to JLM University. My name is Paul and today I'm going to show you how to change out a foot release assembly on a PowerPole Move PV. Please check the description below for a list of recommended tools. Before doing any work on your PowerPole Move PV, be sure to turn off the power and beware of pinch points. To begin, you'll need to remove the Phillips head panhead screw on either side of the upper shroud. Now that the panhead screws are out of the upper shroud, we can lift it up. Okay, now that our upper shroud is in the raised position, we're going to go ahead and remove the water shield from the base circuit board. Now we're going to remove the water shield clips by squeezing the ends together. Now that the water shield clips have been removed, we're just simply going to reach in and pick straight up on the water shield. Now that the water shield has been removed, we're going to remove the 6 panhead screws from the base circuit board. Okay, now that the 6 Phillips panhead screws have been removed, we're going to remove the coil cable plug and we're going to remove the power cable plug. Okay, now that the power plug and the steering plug and the coil cable plug has been removed from the base of the circuit board, we're going to be lifting the base circuit board out of the unit. Now that the baseboard has been removed from the unit, we're now going to remove the 2 screws in the front part of the lower shroud. Now it's time to remove the cover from the steering board by loosening the 2 screws. Now that the cover has been removed, we need to remove the plug from the steering board. Now it is time to remove the display assembly by pulling it up and away from the unit. Now we're going to remove both 3/8 E-clips on each side of the foot release pedal. With the pins still in place, break free the screw with a 3/16 Allen. And now remove the screw with washer. And repeat for the other side. And now we need to remove the pins and the arms from the foot release pedal. Now we need to remove both 7/16 lock nuts to remove the bearing block. Next, we need to remove the large E-clip on the hex bar. Now that the large E-clip has been removed, we're going to simply slide the foot release assembly over. Now we need to remove the hex bushing along with our bearing block. Now that the bearing block has been removed, we can now remove the foot release assembly by sliding it out. Now that the foot release assembly has been removed from the unit, we're now going to remove the white nylon bushing and the large E-clip along with the black bushings. It's now time to install our new foot release assembly. First, we must prep the foot release assembly by installing the 2 black bushings and large E-clip. Add the white nylon washer. Now it's time to reinstall the assembly by feeding the hex bolt through the bearing block hole. And now we're going to install our bearing block on top of the black inserts with bushing facing out. Now it's time to slide our foot release assembly into position. We're going to do this by putting our black hex bushing onto the end and then sliding it into the opposing black bushing. Be sure that the foot release assembly is pushed all the way to the side. Next, we're going to slide our white nylon washer over and install our large E-clip. It's now time to secure our bearing block by tightening the lock nuts. Be sure to use your torque wrench and tighten to the specific torque specifications found in your instructions provided. Next, we are going to install our foot release arms by sliding them into position. Ensure when both arms are aligned that the foot pedal is elevated. While the foot pedal is being elevated, install both pins. Next, secure the pins with your E-clips. It's now time to install the outer screws to the foot assembly. Be sure to add 1 drop of Loctite. It's now time to install the display assembly. We're going to do this by feeding the longer wire underneath the hex bolt and then the shorter one on top. We will now secure the display assembly by installing the 2 screws with lock washers through the shroud. Next, we're going to apply dielectric grease to the plug and then plug it into the steering board. Next, we are going to insert our steering cover by hand. And next, we need to install our screws with lock washers. If you notice back on the circuit board, there are 3 tabs. They need to align the pre-drilled holes in the base of the Move PV. Okay, you should feel the tabs fall into the pre-drilled holes on the base. Okay, now that the base circuit board has been seated into the base of the Move, it's time to apply some dielectric grease to all the terminals. Okay, now that the dielectric grease has been applied to the top of the terminals of the baseboard, we're going to go ahead and place the coil cable back into position, as well as the power wire going to the steering circuit board and also the power cable. Okay, now that all the leads are in position, we are going to use a torque wrench to tighten down all the panhead screws. Okay, now it's time to prepare the water shield. We're going to have to fill the 6 cavities on the back with dielectric grease. Okay, now that the water shield has been prepared with dielectric grease, we're going to go ahead and just simply place it back onto the top of the base circuit board. Be sure that the antenna is routed up under the water shield like so. Now we're going to install our water shield clips. Be sure that the water shield clips, you'll actually feel them snap into place around the socket panhead screws. Okay, the last thing we're going to do, we need to lower the upper shroud, and then we're going to tighten the Phillips head screw on either side of the upper shroud. And now that is how you install a foot release assembly on a PowerPole Move PV. Thank you for watching.